Hello, welcome back. This is the first real episode of my Crohn story. Um, to set the scene, I guess, it was in eighth grade. I remember when I first started getting sick. I want to say it was fall because I remember it being cold. I played a soccer game. I honestly cannot remember the name of the town, but I recognize the feeling, the field that I played on, um, because I've been there since and I recognized it and I know it. I played a soccer game. I and then I got a cough afterwards. I was maybe not feeling great. Missed some school, and then I found out I have pneumonia, and pneumonia stinks. That's probably the sickest I had been in my life. The occasional cold or stomach ache, but that was it was unpleasant. And eventually I get over the pneumonia, and I'm pretty sure I have stomach problems, maybe some fevers, some diarrhea, something like that. And that was actually around the time that the swine flu was a thing, and one of my doctors said I might have that. I think that was more of a guess than any testing or anything like that. Um, Eventually, problems persisted, and I went to go see a gastroenterologist, and they're the people that basically guide doctors. Um, and it was interesting because at this time I was in a class with a couple of friends, and one of my friends named Jack. Um, the other friends in the group that I had met made jokes about Crohn's, talking about him, and I'm still a little bit confused as to if he had Crohn's or not because I've been friends with Jack for a long time and he kind of denies it. But at the time, it was inside joke amongst friends that he had Crohn's, and they would make jokes and stuff about it. And when all this was happening in school, when I went to a gastro and they, mentioned that Crohn's might be a thing that's causing a lot of my problems, um, I got in on the joke basically and was part of it. So I think, and that's an important thing I want to emphasize is from the beginning of this experience, humor has been a part of it, and being able to joke about it's been a part of it. Being able to joke about my situation, being able to joke about myself, my symptoms, whatever, um, you know, I has been a big part of my experience, and I'm glad I got introduced to Crohn's in that way, because sometimes there's really nothing you can do but kind of just laugh, and laughter is cheap medicine. So I go to see this gastroenterologist, and they make me take this barium test. That was the first test they make me take. And the common theme of gastro tests is drink this thing that tastes terrible, and then we'll take pictures of your gut. So I took this barium something or other test, and they pushed around my stomach, put me in a machine, and I guess they didn't see whatever it is that they were looking for. And then after that, I had a colonoscopy. That was the first time I've had a colonoscopy, and that sucked. um, older people have an idea, but basically what you got to do for a colonoscopy is not eat anything for pretty much a day, and then drink a ton of this like laxative stuff basically, and they'll make you take a laxative and then make you drink like Miralax. I hate that stuff so much because it expands inside of you and bloats you. And even though I'm like really hungry, I don't want to be putting that stuff in my body. It's like the smell of it. It's ugh. And I think the first time I did, I'm not sure if it was the first time. Yeah, I've done a couple colonoscopies, but one of the times I had mixed the Miralax solution with purple Gatorade. I can't even look at the stuff now. So off the menu, and that's fine. It was not my favorite Gatorade to begin with, so that's fine. I could have gummy bears. I was allowed to have that before, and I remember eating quite a few gummy bears. That was enjoyable. So I had the colonoscopy, and pretty much straight from the colonoscopy, they diagnosed me with Crohn's. And it was good to have a bit of clarity over, what was going on with me. And I think kind of to describe the physical situation that I was going through at that time. So basically, baseline was no energy whatsoever. Very, poor appetite as well. And these are normal symptoms with Crohn's. So poor appetite, fatigue, diarrhea, to the bathroom a ton. It was crazy. What else? I had this thing called erythema nodosum, and it's interesting because this thing I only ever had my first flare with Crohn's. I've had a bunch of problems with Crohn's over the past several years. It's the only time I had it was the first time. Thank God, because it stung. So basically, erythema nodosum is these big kind of red bumps that show up on your leg. And I think they can show up pretty much anywhere, but on my legs. And every time I would walk, it's just a searing pain on each one of those bumps. And it was just, my legs were already tired from, just Crohn's. I wasn't even doing anything. It was just really tired. And just walk every time blood pumped through, just, those hurt a lot. And, the big thing with Crohn's, at least for me, are the fevers and the cramps. The cramps are extremely painful. And, there would just be, and they come in waves. So it would be kind of like maybe you eat something or sometimes you don't eat anything. It doesn't even matter. And you're just keeled over in pain at a solid 6 or 7 on the pain scale for a good, 10 minutes, and then it kind of passes. And then you have a chance to take your breath and, just be able to be in the moment without it being horrible for a minute. And then, it comes back, and it's just that cycle just keeps on going. And then, yeah, if you eat something, it hates you even more, and it's even more painful. So on top of not having a great appetite, kind of being scared of food was another thing. And the fevers. Hate fevers so much. Yeah, people know what fevers are. They suck. So I was going through all that. That was my 8th grade. And I missed so much school, like a ton of school. One really interesting thing that happened was I was a mediocre student. I kind of like B's, a C or 2, maybe an A in a class I was good at. And that year that I got sick and missed a ton of school, I had the best grades I'd ever had. And like, even when I did go to school, I was kind of dragging myself to get there. I, would often go with fevers and have to sit through cramps in class, which was just brutal. But yeah, no, a bunch of my classes did better. Something must have changed in my brain with all that going on, as to where I could see, maybe learn things more clearly. Or maybe it was just the subtext that year, or teachers, or I don't know. But I do remember doing finals for 8th grade, and that was, I had fevers, I'm pretty sure, every single final. And it was basically make it through and get out. Because, schools will do the thing where they'll, like, keep you or whatever, just so they fill out the amount of days on the schedule or something. And during finals, it's just babysitting. It's like, take the final and, like, go to your other classes and just sit around for a little bit. And it was just, for me, it was take the final and get out of there. And I actually did pretty well in my finals, considering I felt horrible taking all of them. But the one class that I didn't do too well in, even though my grades were better, was English class. And the teacher I had, I remember not being a huge fan of. And I think I had like borderline C, B going into that final day. I was dreading it because I wasn't prepared. Like, it's pretty difficult to study when you feel like that. And I wasn't great at English to begin with. And I get to the classroom, my teacher greets me, and she's like, "Oh, Stefan, like it's so good to see you. You must be feeling better." And I was like, "I feel horrible. I'm just here to take the test." And she let me off the hook. She was like, "You know what? No, you don't need to take it. That's fine." And even though I didn't have the best relationship with that teacher, that was a very nice thing. She was the best person in the world for that moment. I was so grateful for that. So basically, the initial treatment plan and general treatment plan for Crohn's that I was going through at that time was basically try to drink as much Boost as possible. And I used to like Boost, but at a certain point, I just couldn't stand the stuff because I would lose a lot of weight, and that was kind of the way of putting weight on. And I remember it always being a thing in my doctor's office. Like, if I had been drinking Boost, like, my doctor is extremely happy with me. No. It was if I gained weight. If I went up, doctor is very happy with me and is not yelling at me to drink Boosts the entire visit. When my weight goes down, then it's like Boost. Like, that is the theme of the visit. So I'm very tired of Boost. And Ensures. I'm done with all of them. But basically, treatment plan was they put you on steroids, prednisone, and that, at least at that point, was, that would completely knock it down. Just be like, okay, I'm feeling good. Steroids have their own problems, make me a little bit moody and balloon face, which is pretty funny at some points. It's funny looking back at pictures and just seeing my mouth full of acorns. So yeah, they would do that, and then they would introduce a medicine, and then they'd wean the steroids off to be able to see if, like, okay, when we take the steroids away, can this med keep you in health? And I went through a couple meds, and when I lived in New York, like I want to say like 2 or 3 I went through pills, and before this experience, I was horrible at taking pills, but I had to learn pretty quick because the first medicine to take a pill like that big is crazy. So, go through a couple medicines, and then my dad had gotten a job in Florida. So at the end of 8th grade, and to start 9th grade, I moved down to Naples, Florida. And I'm pretty sure I was on steroids for that summer, and thank God, because I'm not the most outgoing person. I had my group of friends, and I remember really enjoying that summer and being able to really appreciate having all my close friends and being around them before I had to get out of town to Naples, Florida, the most exciting place to live as a young person. And so I was supportive via steroids, and we were going to progress my treatment plan when I moved down to Florida. And I think that's where I'll stop this episode. That's kind of the introduction to my illness and my story. There's a lot more, but yeah, so that's how it all started, and I'll continue with going down to Florida next episode. Thank you for watching. I very much appreciate it, and have a nice day.